This morning, the world seemed to hold its breath. The sun, usually so faithful in its daily climb, lingered somewhere out of reach, as if uncertain about whether to rise at all. Outside the window, the sky was a dull wash of gray, thick and unmoving, the sort of color that seeps into the bones and settles there. Inside her small room, Mrs. Hua sat quietly, gazing out at the world she had known for so long, now veiled by a haze that mirrored the gentle silver of her hair. She had always been an early riser, a habit built over decades of gently waking children for school, preparing lessons, and tending to the routines that had shaped her life. At 82, Mrs. Hua's days had grown quieter, softer. The walls of the nursing home were familiar now, though they had not always felt so. She had spent 5 years here. 5 years since Mr. Tu, her steadfast companion, had quietly slipped away in the night, leaving her with memories that flickered and glowed like lanterns along the path of her life. She missed him, but she had learned how to carry on, to fold his absence into her daily rituals just as she had once folded laundry or packed lunches for her children. Her children, now scattered across continents, chasing dreams in distant cities. They still called, their voices sometimes crackling with the static of thousands of miles. They sent money as if it could bridge the distance, as if it could buy back the time they had lost. Once a month, her phone would ring, and there would be laughter, questions, reassurances. But when the call ended, the silence in her room felt even deeper, a reminder that love could stretch across oceans, but could not warm cold hands or fill empty spaces at the table. This morning, as the sky refused to lighten, Mrs. Hua felt a stillness inside her, a sense of waiting. She listened to the footsteps in the hallway, the soft shuffle of slippers, the gentle murmur of voices. She had always been a good listener. Years in the classroom had taught her the importance of hearing not just words, but the spaces between them, the things left unsaid. So when the doctor paused outside her door, speaking in hushed tones to the nurse, Mrs. Hua understood. She might not make it through the weekend. The words drifted into her room, uninvited, but not unwelcome. Mrs. Hua smiled, a small private smile. There was no fear in her heart, no tears in her eyes. Perhaps because she had been preparing for this day, quietly, gently, for some time. Each year, each season, had been a slow letting go, a leaf, a memory, a moment, until all that remained was a sense of peace. She thought of her students, the hundreds of children whose lives had brushed against hers. She remembered the way their faces lit up when they understood something new, the way their hands reached for hers when they were frightened or uncertain. She remembered the songs they had sung together, the stories told in the fading light of afternoon. Some of those students had sent letters over the years, little notes of gratitude or nostalgia, tucked inside envelopes with unfamiliar stamps. She kept those letters in a small box by her bed, a testament to a life spent in service to others. Now, as the world outside her window remained shrouded in gray, Mrs. Hua let her mind wander. She imagined her children, waking up in their own faraway homes, perhaps thinking of her in passing, perhaps feeling a faint tug at their hearts. She hoped they would remember the warmth of her embrace, the sound of her voice singing them to sleep, the stories she had spun to chase away their fears. She thought, too, of Mr. Tu, his gentle humor, the way he had always known how to make her laugh, even on the darkest days. She felt his presence now, a quiet comfort in the stillness. She wondered if, wherever he was waiting for her, preparing a place, ready to walk beside her once more. The day passed slowly. Nurses came and went, offering soft words and gentle touches. Mrs. Hua accepted their kindness with gratitude, but her mind was elsewhere, moving through memories like a traveler retracing old footsteps. She remembered the first classroom she had ever entered, the nervous excitement of her first day as a teacher. She remembered the home she and Mr. Tu had built together, brick by brick, laughter by laughter. She remembered the way the light used to fall across the kitchen table in the late afternoon, painting everything gold. As evening approached, the gray clouds outside began to thin, just a little. A faint glow filtered through, a promise that the sun, though hidden, was still there. Mrs. Hua closed her eyes and listened to the quiet hum of life around her. The distant clatter of dishes, the low murmur of conversation, the heartbeat of a world that continued to turn, whether or not the sun chose to rise. She felt no regret. Her life had been full of joy, of sorrow, of love given and received. She understood now that endings were not to be feared, but accepted, like the closing of a well-loved book. She had taught her students that every story must find its conclusion, just as every day must find its night. In the stillness of her room, Mrs. Hua breathed deeply, feeling the rhythm of her heart, steady and calm. She thought of her favorite poem, the one she had recited to countless classrooms over the years, the one that spoke of the beauty of each fleeting moment. She whispered the words now, softly, for herself alone. As night settled in, the world outside grew quiet. Within the gentle hush, Mrs. Hua felt the weight of her years, not as a burden, but as a gift, a tapestry of moments, woven together with care. There was nothing left to fear. She was ready, when the time came, to step into whatever lay beyond, carrying with her the love of her family, the gratitude of her students, the memory of sunlight on a golden afternoon. And though the sun had hidden its face that morning, Mrs. Hua knew that somewhere, just beyond the clouds, the light was waiting, patient and eternal, ready to welcome her home. At noon, she asked the nurse to bring her an old box hidden under the bed. Inside were stacks of handwritten letters, some faded photographs, and a cloth doll her husband had given her on her 25th birthday. Most special of all, there was a bundle of unsent letters, ones she had written to each of her children and grandchildren, but never sent. Each letter held a story. About the time her eldest daughter fell off her bicycle, and she stayed up all night just to monitor her fever. About her youngest son's mischief as a child, how she had to discipline him once, and then cried alone through the night. About her granddaughter born in Australia, whom she had only seen through a phone screen. She made up her mind. Today, she would ask someone to send those letters, because today might be the last day she would still be clear-minded enough to do it. As the afternoon fell, a young boy around 10 years old showed up at the nursing home entrance. In his hand was a crayon drawing of an old lady and a cat. He asked to meet Mrs. Hua, the woman who once taught drawing at the community center. The nurse brought the boy in. Mrs. Hua was surprised. "Who are you?" "My name is Tung. When I was 5, you taught me how to draw. I remember you said, 'Drawing is how we preserve the most beautiful things, even when they're gone.'" Mrs. Hua was deeply touched. Her aged eyes welled with tears. "Now I'm in 4th grade, and the best art student in my class. I skipped school today to draw this and bring it to you." In that moment, she realized the seeds she once planted, no matter how small, unnoticed, had quietly bloomed on a day she least expected. That night, the sky suddenly turned stormy. The nurse rushed into Mrs. Hua's room, excited. "Ma'am, your son, Mr. Kwon from Canada. He just arrived. He's downstairs." Mrs. Hua could hardly believe it. The son she thought would never make it back in time. The door opened. A man with salt and pepper hair walked in and embraced his mother. No words, just a hug. After a long moment, he whispered through tears, "Mom, I'm sorry. All these years I was too busy working, thinking money was enough, but nothing is ever enough without being present. I came back, even if it's late." Mrs. Hua said nothing. She simply placed her hand on her son's chest, where his heart still beat, and that night, Mrs. Hua slept deeply. For the first time in years, she dreamed of her old classroom, filled with children's laughter, with Mr. Tu's disheveled hair beside her. She dreamed of reciting an old poem. "If tomorrow doesn't come, then live today to its fullest." The next morning, the nurse discovered she had passed away in her sleep, her face peaceful, like someone who had just completed something beautifully whole. Beside her pillow was her final letter with a single line, "Thank you, life, for giving me one last day. Enough to say words of love, to forgive, to see the flowers bloom from the seeds I once sowed. Mrs. Hua's story was never famous, never extraordinary, but it was the story of a simple life that quietly inspired. A woman who didn't do grand things, but lived kindly every single day. Even on her last day, she chose love over bitterness, giving over withholding. And perhaps, deep down, each of us will also have a last day of our own. But if we live each day as if it were the last, then perhaps there would be nothing left to regret. The last day isn't the end. It's the final chance to live fully. If today were your last day, how would you choose to live?